Hey folks, welcome back to our tutorial. This time we're going to talk about working with the Bootstrap slider. Really, it's just a Bootstrap carousel. It's been modified slightly to have, or make use of, I should say, animate.css for the title and the description and the learn more. So these three additional pieces to it, we simply animated with a little bit of JavaScript, and then we can apply the animate.css to it. If you want to learn more about animate.css or change the way these bits and pieces load into the page, just fire up a browser, type in animate.css into Google, and then go to the animate.css website, which is usually the first one listed. Then you can check out all the different animation effects and then apply them. Now, to apply them, what we're going to do is first of all open up our library page, or library asset. So we'll go to the library, the sliders, and the Bootstrap slider. And let's open up the library asset right here, the library page, and we'll just simply say we want to change the effect of how welcome to our website slides into the page. Well, we'll just select a piece of text, flip to code view, and get an approximation of where things are. And there's our welcome to the website, and the H2 class that wraps around it uses the fade in left animate.css effect. So if we go back to animate.css, scroll on down, you'll see that fade in left. There it is there, right? And you can find there's fade in left big or fade in up. And you can use fade in any of these effects. They may or may not work. Totally up to you to try them out and see what does work. But we've gone with something fairly straightforward and well known, fade in left. It works nicely, it's smooth, and it's not overly processor intensive. But you may find, I like the rotate in effects. Some of them are really cool. Sliding, or slide in and fade in are almost the same. Zoom in is really cool though. Right? So try different things out if you want to change the appearance of how the title and the description and the learn more sections come into view. Now with that said, that's the animation part. You would just simply change the fade in left on the H2 class, or the fade in left on the H3 class, or the fade in on the carousel caption more class, and you would get a different effect. Okay, so we'll cover off 4 or 5 different topics in the video, and I'll try and be brief and get through this for you. Now, we want to learn how to change the background picture, the title, the description, and the learn more, link and text, and how to add and remove. And if you've worked with any Bootstrap carousels before, it's pretty straightforward. You probably won't even need the instructions except for working with the background image. But let's take a look at the background image to start with. Okay, it's a full screen image, so the bigger the image you have to work with, probably the better. The images for this particular component are located right here in the images folder, and we've gone with something called a full screen slider 1, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, once you have your pictures sized, you can put them into this folder and name them whatever you like. And I'll show you where to change the name for the image that's being loaded in. But the images that we use are 1920 by 1080. And the reason we use that size of an image is for larger browsers, or higher resolution monitors, I should say. A larger pic is going to display a lot better. It won't be so fuzzy. If you can use a smaller one if you want to, and it may pixelate somewhat as it goes on to larger monitors. So we're sort of going from a start big and work our way down, as opposed to start small and lose the clarity of the image as it scales up for larger monitors. And the file size is not fantastic when we get to these really big images, but it's not horrible. For example, here's the full screen slider 4 can go from something as small as 77 kilobytes at 1920 by 1080, and it can sort of scoot up to the 157 kilobyte size at same actual physical dimension. And it really depends on the content of the image. An image that has a lot of the similar color, like we have a lot of dark here in the background, versus maybe some more of the color variations, that's going to adjust or affect the file size as well. But put your pictures in here. I suggest going 1920 by 1080. You can use smaller if you want to. They will scale up to fit the browser, but they may pixelate when you do that. So it's a garbage in, garbage out. The better image you have to start with, the better the end result is going to be. So that's where to put the pictures, but how do you get them to actually, how do you change a picture? Let's say we want to change the picture that loads up when we first pull the page up. That's this image right here in this example. Well, what we're going to do is it's the full screen slider 1 image that's being loaded in first, and it actually loads in right here from our CSS folder, our Bootstrap Slider.css, and there is the picture right there. Bootstrap Slider 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there is the link to the image right there. So if you're going to change the name of the image, just change the name of the picture right here that's being loaded in. And it is, of course, I suggest you put them into the images folder for the component, so that way they're not getting mixed up with other things. And also that way you don't have to change the path to the image right here. But of course you can simply just select this information, backspace, and then go down to pick URL, browse to wherever you have your replacement image located. Right? Now that's how to replace the image. To change the text, the title, and the description, you just simply scrub along, my new title, and we want to make sure that it remains an H2 heading, okay, when we do that. And it should just affect the text here, the class and whatnot should stay the same. I almost recommend going into the code view and just scrubbing along where it says description, goes here, and typing in a new description, same with the title, because you see how we've separated it out for you? There's no having to go between brackets and quotes and that. It's just black text on a page. You scrub over it with your mouse, type in something new, and away you go. Now, if you want to change the link for Learn More, then you can do this right here in the code view. It's just a hyperlink. Just select Hyperlink Properties. Right? Scroll to the page you want to link to, select it, and that's it. You're done. Bob's your uncle. It will automatically update the href for you. Right, but should keep all the other bits and pieces in place. Of course, you can just simply locate the pound sign and manually update it, but I really suggest using the tools available in Expression Web or SharePoint Design or whatever editor you're working with to update the hyperlink to make sure you actually get the / slashes correct. When I say / slashes, that's what I'm talking about there. That's basically telling it to look up 3 folders to the page 2 right here in the root. Okay, so that's the title, that's the description, that's how to update the button. Now, how do you add more images? 2 phases. Flip to code view, scroll on down to the last slide, right here, see how it's commented? Copy the entire slide. We have a little space here you can sort of paste over top or just paste below. Make sure you change this to slide 5. Okay, we want to keep it sequential. Then you can change your description and your title and your Learn More, but more importantly, we need to go back to the Bootstrap Slider.css and we need to copy slide 4 and paste down below. Oops, I didn't copy that properly. You need to copy slide 4 and paste below and then change this to slide 5. Okay, and then you would change the name here from Full Screen Slider 4 to Full Screen Slider 5 or whatever else you name your picture. Make sure you put the same image name into this folder here. So really that's all. That's the gist of working with the Bootstrap Carousel. The image is changed through CSS for mobile reasons because we wanted to use the background size cover. Okay, so that way that it takes up the full screen and looks as presentable as possible. Putting it as an actual image in the background of the page has a few drawbacks. So this was the overall best way of doing it. So the only thing you'll see in the page itself, obviously, is the title, the description, and the Learn More. Now the last step to the puzzle are the indicator dots. And that's these guys right down here. There's 4 of them, 1 for each. If you add a new image, you need to add a new dot. And the dots are actually located right up here at the top of the page. So we need to do this in code view, and we need to copy one of the LI tags and paste it below. For each new slide you add, you need to add 1 more dot and then change the numbering so it's still sequential, so it's 0 to 4, right, for a total of 5. And then we have the, if you only want to go down to 3 slides, you would remove 2 of them. And as a final little tidbit here, you may notice we have this delay. Right, that's a built-in class, a helper class, which sort of changes the timing of when these items come into view. You can use anything in denominations of 50, starting from delay 50 up to delay 500, and that's actually in terms of milliseconds. So delay 500 is 5 seconds, delay 250 is 2.5 seconds. So I'm sorry, it's not actually milliseconds, it's a derivative of that. But and delay 100 is delay 1 second. And what it does is it allows the image to fade in first and then the content. In most cases, you're not going to need to touch that whatsoever. Just leave the settings the way they are, but you can fiddle around with those. If you see them and you're curious as to what they are, you can change the number in the delay anywhere from 50 to 500 to get a different effect, and that particular title or description or button will show up at a different time on the page. Right. Now the final thing I wanted to mention with this is the Be Creative, the description, and the Learn More button. These are fixed width elements. If you have too much text, it's just going to roll onto a second line and maybe not even display. So make sure you have enough text so it doesn't overflow the container, right? Or you can change the font size to have your titles a little bit, use a smaller font so it could fit. But they won't stretch out any further. Okay, it's because we use a bit of a background graphic because of the really cool angle here that we have. In order to use the angles, yes, I know there's great CSS ways of doing it, but not when it's not with the transparency effect that we're looking for. And we really wanted to keep the CSS and the jQuery overhead down as much as possible because of the animations we're using. So graphic was actually in this particular case, the best option as opposed to CSS with text translates and things like that. So, long story short, if you need to change the font sizes, once again, we can go back to our Bootstrap CSS, and then we can start looking for the, here we go. There's the H2, okay, and there's our font size right there. There's the H3, and there's the font size right there. So you can change the font size, make it a little bit smaller if you have more characters, but you won't be able to make it bigger. Okay, this is the width that it comes in. It folds down nicely for tablets and mobile. Actually, it goes away and becomes a full screen at those resolutions because there's no use in trying to fit something this size into a mobile device. It just won't fit. So it's restyled properly for mobile and for tablets. But for desktop usage, right, this is sort of the welcome to our website. Try to keep it with that number of characters, or change the font size or the letter spacing in order to make it fit.